Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Malifaux Encounter report. This is my second game with Collodi, and this time I'm facing off against Sonnia of the guild. And although Miss Crid is probably Collodi's least favourite master in all of Malifaux, the plucky puppet's going to give this a try. I asked if my opponent would kindly deploy first, and he has. A Peacekeeper, a Witchling Stalker, the Purifying Flame, a Guild Lawyer for legal advice, Francisco Ortega with Wade In and Hermanos de Armas, Lady Sonnia herself with Counterspell Aura and Sheriff's Imprint, a Guild Sergeant, and finally a Guild Rifleman. Let's see what they've got. And here's my deployment. Yep, I'm bunched up within Collodi's 6-inch bubble. I'm aware that against Sonnia the name of the game is to spread out, but I figure she can't hit me from here and I want some movement options. From the left, Coryphy, Brutal Effigy, which Hands is pretending to be, Stitched Together, Marionette, Collodi, with Strum the Threads, Breathe Life, and Fated. Next is Vasilisa with a friend to talk to, Marionette, Stitched Together, Coryphy. As for terrain, all the rocks and big blocky things are impassable, the forests are forests, the hill is a hill, 1 inch high and the edges are severe terrain, and the walls are walls. Those two green markers in the middle are the stash, and we score 1 point at every turn after the first if we have one model within 3 inches of both of the scheme markers. In terms of schemes, we've both declared a line in the sand. My opponent revealed Murder Protege on Vasilisa, and I am keeping Deliver a Message hidden. I lose the initiative flip and get told I'm activating first, so Brutal goes. He zero actions Collodi, because why not, and then moves up to where you see. My plan is to use Vasilisa to shunt Collodi and the Stitch Together up the field, where they can later activate and punish the guild if they get too close. So for now I'm just moving stuff I don't care about. The Peacekeeper knows it's a threat and double walks straight up to the marker. A Marionette sidles up to the wall. The Guard Sergeant walks up, places a scheme marker, and then issues new orders on it, pushing it 4 inches further. I choose to activate Vasilisa now. She piggybacks Collodi to the wall, twists the Stitch Together on the right to move up, and then I find I've stupidly put her out of 2 inches of the second Stitch Together, which I was planning to use the Friend to Talk to ability to move up as well, and panic, and she ends up there by the Brutal Effigy. The Lawyer moves up, and my Marionette runs up round the side. The Witchling Stalker gets a nice central position. Collodi activates, and uses my will to move the Stitch Together up, move the Marionette up, and move Vasilisa back where it will be useful next turn. The plan will be to drag Collodi up nice and central, where he can go fast and then pelt Francisco and the Peacekeeper with Pull the Strings, hopefully stealing some useful activations, and if I'm really lucky, pushing them back. It's a pretty horrible plan, but it's all I could come up with at the time. Most importantly, I forgot to use his zero action to make a personal puppet. And yes, I can hear you screaming at me right now. And spoiler alert, don't forget personal puppet with Collodi. So it looks like Francisco's gone, and got some kind of defensive condition. And now the blue Coryphy casts its dance partner, and I cheat in a 4 of masks to make it happen. Goes 14 inches into base contact with the yellow Coryphy, and then runs up 7. I think I made the joke at the time that if I knew what the hell I was doing, these movement tricks would be pretty cool. So then the Guild Rifleman activates and hides here by that tree, and the yellow Coryphy activates, powering up the board, and I've got a sneaky plan. The Purifying Flame moves up into the woods, and then my Stitch Together on the left breaks from cover. He's not in range to gamble his life against the Peacekeeper, but I'm trying to set things up so that next turn, even if I lose the initiative, I can start spamming gamble against his beta pieces. And if they die, well, then I've got some rather conveniently placed scrap markers. So then Sonnia goes. She moves up and starts blasting Collodi. She hits him, does all kind of horrible triggers to consume my flammable friends with flame, hits moderate damage, does 3 damage to Collodi and 2 damage to both Vasilisa and my Stitch Together. Yikes. So the final Stitch Together powers up to ensure he's in range at the start of next turn, and I really probably should have done this first, before the other Stitch Together, because I might have been able to block Sonnia's line of sight to Collodi. But ah well. So in upkeep, Collodi takes an extra damage from burning, Vasilisa takes an extra damage from burning, and the Stitch Together takes an extra damage from burning. Just horrible. We go into turn 2 and there's my hand. I lose the initiative, and guess what's going to happen? Sonnia activates and targets Collodi. Now, if I'd been at all thinking about this, I could have last turn moved the Stitch Together just over slightly so that he'd be blocking the line of sight, or I could have even used Collodi's runaway home to push over here after he'd been hit, which would have made me safe because he is only just within 14 inches of the damned Crid woman. As it is, I didn't, and now we're going to suffer. And we're going to suffer additionally because I also forgot to personal puppet anything in the first turn, because I am just that much of an idiot. So off we go. She raises her casting value to 9. She shoots and I've got to try to stop it, so I cheat in with the red joker. But unhappily he's got a king, so he goes to an attack of 22, and Collodi takes weak damage, plus some nice burning. She hits him again, I soulstone the damage. She hits him again with something like a severe, and I soulstone, so Collodi ends up with 1 health point remaining, and 2 burning. Vasilisa frickin' dies, and he gets 3 points for Protege, and Brutal takes 2 damage thanks to his armour and gets burning. Fuck. Okay, it's time for something drastic. The Brutal Effigy 0 actions Collodi to fear not the sword, and then moves up to the trees. It then accomplices Collodi, who moves up. He's too damaged to go fast, and can't heal himself enough to escape the burning, so he wills the Stitch Together, and Francisco gambles for his life, and loses. But I flip an ace, and he takes 3 damage, probably soulstone. With Collodi's dying breath, he pulls the strings of the Peacekeeper, easily hitting the weak-willed contraption, and the goal is to rob it of an activation at least. But then I flip the blackjack for damage. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of those games where you play bad and flip bad, and it's just possible there might not be a happy ending. Francisco decides he's not taking that. Francisco decides he's not taking any of this, heals himself up good, moves to engage the Stitched, and takes it down to its last wound. The Stitched then activates, and they gamble their life. Francisco loses, and I flip another ace for weak damage. He spends Soulstone and flips the red joker. Come on! We do it again. He flips a king, and that's the end of the Stitch Together. The Guard Sergeant activates, pushing his first scheme marker onto the centre line, and then moves around the rock, dropping another scheme marker. Second Stitched runs over to target Francisco with another Gamble Your Life. I beat him, do weak damage again, and he soulstones with a queen. Come on! The Witchling Stalker moves up to hide behind the invisible stash of green, and then Blue Karifi springs my scheme plan into action, dancing her way through the bewildered guild. The Lawyer goes, gives an impassioned defense to Sonnia, and sues the Karifi for special damages. The trauma of knowing it's about to lose its master drives the marionette, that's what they're called, insane with grief. It forgets all about needing to be near the stash, and runs off to go cry on the left flank. Seriously, I practiced to be this stupid. The Peacekeeper thinks, okay then, and wanders up and drops a scheme marker on the centre line. The marionette in the dress just runs up to be on the centre line. The Guild Rifleman starts shooting at it and does a little bit of damage. Oh, actually quite a reasonable amount of damage, because my cards just won't stop sucking. Then Marigold Karifi dance partners to get into range with Sonnia. Not having enough activations remaining to hand it over nicely, she starts trying to pin it to the Witch Hunter with her giant arm sides, by which I mean she attacks for weak damage. Purifying Flame then focuses and targets the marionette, but misses, I think. In upkeep, Collodi meets his inevitable end, and I'll see him in Puppet Hell. What the heck was he thinking? I score 0 points, and my opponent scores his 4th point for guarding the stash. But there'll be no surrender. We go into turn 3, and my opponent wins the initiative again, and performs a brilliant move. Francisco performs in frente de me, moving to the yellow Karifi and pushing Sonnia 5 inches out of engagement, and out of my grasp for deliver the message. Great move. He then strikes the Karifi and then does maybe 1 damage. I activate the marionette in the dress to drop a scheme marker, and I must have done something else with it. I can't believe I didn't move it away. Well, yeah, sure. Okay, so then the Peacekeeper went, batting the Stitch Together down to its last wound. The Stitch then activated, and must have been stupid enough to go to Francisco again. Why didn't I go for that Guild Guard, or Guard Sergeant? But yeah, I lose, and my Stitch dies. Because at this point I don't think I can cheat higher than a 7. The Guild Rifleman takes some pot shots at my marionette, but it survives. The other marionette reaches the centre line and drops a scheme marker. The guild lawyer sues the yellow Karifi for damages. There he goes. The Karifi then happily skips out of combat. Crid will not escape me, and also ties up the rifleman while she's at it. She then attacks Sonnia and hits her. Pretty sure I got a severe for 5 damage, but it got soul stoned. And then the Karifi takes 1 damage from special damages. Sonnia then attacks, damaging the Karifi because I can't draw more than a 4 on a double flip. Sonnia heals herself a bit and probably draws a card. She then does it again. And then finally creates a flame wall to stop the other Karifi from getting to her. Nice try. The guard sergeant goes, pushing more markers around, and I don't think he can hurt the Karifi, which then attacks him back, doing a decent amount of damage and taking damage in return from special damages. Damage, damage, damage. Witchling Stalker runs up and drops a scheme marker, and Brutal runs up and drops a scheme marker. Purifying Flame targets the Marionette and fails to kill it again. And with that we end turn 3, and I score a point from the stash, and my opponent also scores a point, but only because he remembered to move his guild sergeant close to the marker. We go into turn 4 and I get a great hand for once. However, my opponent still gets the initiative. Marigold Karifi is only on 1 wound remaining, and the Witch Huntress barrages her with attacks. But I refer you to my hand, and I use both kings and a 10 to keep the Karifi standing. Which means she can finally deliver a message! Hooray! And the score becomes 5 points to 4 in the guild's favour. Actually, looking back at this, it turns out it's only 5 points to 3, because I didn't reveal deliver a message at the beginning of the game. But at this point I'm blissfully unaware of this, and feeling that despite everything that's happened, the puppets might be down, but they're not quite out. Enraged, Francisco beats on the blue Karifi, but can't quite bring her down. That's a girl. But because I can't attack without dying from special damages, I decide to prance her out of combat and remove the scheme marker that's on the other side of that Triceratops head. The sergeant activates and kills the Marionette, and it's a sad day. My other Marionette goes and just manages to squeeze another scheme marker in on the centre line, and the Witchling Stalker charges the Brutal Effigy, killing him without problem, because after the control hand I drew, my cards have gone back to their old tricks. Brutal tries to finish the job by putting another scheme marker on the centre line, but can't quite make it. It's the thought that counts. The lawyer moves over to Marigold the Karifi, trying to bring it down finally, probably by boring it to death with intricate legal code, but the Karifi doesn't have ears and so doesn't care. And since I've got no more activations, it's all up to my opponent. Peacekeeper drops a scheme marker on the centre line and trundles off. Purifying Flame still can't bring down the last Marionette. But then, in a moment of glory, those present won't soon forget, the humble guild rifleman plunges his penknife into Marigold's wooden heart, finally ending her tormented dance. And then in one fluid motion, loads, aims and fires, taking the head off blue Karifi in one amazing shot. 1 activation, 2 Karifi. Get that man a promotion. So with that, we go into upkeep. My Marionette resists the burning damage with a perfect match, surviving into the final turn. However, as there's nothing I can do to stop the guild from removing at least one of my scheme markers, and nothing I can do to stop him from scoring 4 points, we call the game there. Really funny game. And although I can't even console myself with the idea that I at least played well, I had an absolutely great time. Not least because my opponent was such a good guy about it, and we had some great laughs. So I leave this game, after a good hiding, still really loving Collodi, and hopefully with a lot of lessons learned. I really need some more soul stones in this crew, and I've had a taste of some of the really intricate movement work you can do between Collodi and Vasilisa, and I can't wait to explore that further. And also Karifi, just wow! Even when things are absolutely sunk, there's no getting between the dancers in their schemes. Well, okay, unless you've got a guild rifleman. But yeah, they were stunning, and there's a distinct likelihood you'll be seeing them again. But that was the game. Thanks for watching, and take care.